Well, of course, in the early days, and I'm not sure it's much different now, but we didn't really know what we were doing. We felt we wanted to call Christians together. A new kind of church was emerging in the nation. We didn't really know how many people would come. I remember the first event, we didn't have a book-in system.
I remember looking in some historical records and finding a figure around 1,100 people were there.
It seems only yesterday, but if you look at pictures, of course, we were young in those days,
Yeah.
and in those years we've seen some great things happen. And of course, we gathered a ground level team. I remember the first team meeting that we had. We didn't have an agenda because we weren't sure what we were going to do, and actually we had a meal, which again in those days was quite radical because you went to services, you went to meetings, but we had a meal together, and so relationship became a vital building block in what we did.
And that's been a hallmark, I would say, of ground level, and certainly for you and Irene, and how you've tried to build everything on that foundation really of relationship. Let's start with being friends together, I guess, friends on a journey. These would be my words, but that was the feel for me, and that felt something very different.
But I suppose we've kept the connectedness and relationships right the way through, and still today we run connections, you know, for our leaders and regions where leaders of churches can gather together.
Next year will be the 40th, and you will have led the Grapevine ONE Event, you and Irene, for 40 years.
It's a long time, isn't it?
Biblical generation, which is a great thing.
It is a kind of a fulfilling feeling that we've served a generation. I think a lot of our leaders today were children that were, came through and were radically impacted.
Definitely.
So where do you think we're heading then, Paul? What are your feelings?
Well, I think over the last few years within ground level we have worked really hard, which can sound a little bit boring, but it's actually been exciting to really hone what is our vision and our mission. And so we've honed that into a statement that says we're a movement of churches advancing the kingdom everywhere. And again, that's been a core value of ours, the kingdom. I mean, I was telling just recently some leaders in my church, I can always remember Gerald's message at Grapevine, which was life-changing. What is the kingdom thing to do? In our workplaces, in our positions where God puts us, advance the kingdom. And our mission is how we do that. And that's three things. We want to create healthy churches. We want to develop great leaders. And we want to equip God's people because, again, in those early days, the foundation was relationship, was belief in that the church is the people. It's not the organisation.
The simple things of relationship and friendship development, bringing leaders through, recognising ministries. I think we've been quite good at that, and we keep doing things like Leadership Engine to equip people. And of course the ONE Event is an equipping thing in itself. I've been to other events. I remember speaking at a leaders gathering from across New Wine churches, and 8 people who were now in leadership of churches in different spheres, in the Anglican church mainly, came and said that the life-changing moment was in a Grapevine of years back. That I find incredibly fulfilling. And actually, as we move forward, what we are really wanting to do is bring new leaders through. We've just reshaped our apostolic team to take us forward with younger leaders and future. We've set a path for shifting gears where I remain in part of the family, relationally connected, and then you'll be shaping things with the team in the future, which is very exciting.
It's not like there's this massive change. We're hoped for, like you've hoped, in every season there to be energy, leading of the Spirit and all of that. But actually there's a continuity of some of those foundational values, principles, beliefs. We say we want to see more churches planted. We want to see churches that currently exist and are healthy reach out into different communities. We also want to see other churches who need a home.
What we could say is, because we do tend to talk this way, but it is in us that the best is actually yet to come.